What I saw in the video was ultimately, it's from the press box across the field on the 45-yard line. You can view a yellow tent across the field. That's where this incident happened. There's no sound on the video, and it's raining. And you can see about 30 to 40 people around the field. It's a track meet that morning, so they're preparing for this track meet. The incident in question happens at 9:44 a.m. It's really calm up until that point, and then chaos ensues, and you can't really make up anybody. You can't make out individuals. You can see people and colors and what they're wearing, but you can't make out identities. But again, at 9:44, chaos ensues. What I did not see was any obvious physical altercation leading up to the stabbing.
They have a video that they're only allowing media to look at. Consistently, I've heard the people that have seen the video say that they didn't see a fight happening, they saw an incident happen, and they saw everybody just scatter, right? So there was no crowd, there was nothing going on, pretty much like a rumble or a fight or anything like that before this incident took place. Now, from my point of view, I'm a retired correctional officer. People who don't understand the ramifications of using force, especially deadly physical force, should really not engage, okay? Because if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to wake up the sleeping giant, which is the justice system, and you're going to get caught in it, and they're not going to say, oh, you're too stupid to know what you did was wrong. They're going to hold you fully accountable. What we know from this incident, there's witnesses that saw what happened. Karmelo did not have to say anything, but he said something. So we have his version of his motivation for what he did, his state of mind. See, and that's what they want. They want to know why you did what you did. So in Karmelo's case, it's clear to anybody who has engaged in a use of force incident, we understand what happened. He didn't understand stand your ground, didn't understand how to use force, when to use force, how much force to use. So when they catch him, he says, he put his hands on me. So in his mind, he believes that he is justified in stabbing someone if they put their hands on him, which is not consistent with the law. Are there any injuries to Karmelo? Is there a scratch on him? I don't think there was any type of proof that there was a physical altercation at all on him. So from the witness statements that said that he said, touch me, and then when Austin touched him, then he said, punch me and see what happens. This is an incident between two young people, one of which really does not understand what the law is and thinks he understands what stand your ground actually means, and he doesn't. He thinks that he's justified in stabbing someone because they put their hands on him. He messed up. Now, if he would have had a black eye, a busted lip, a broken jaw, then maybe they could say, hey, he was seriously injured. But without that, if you're going to use force, there's two different types of force. There's force that is immediate, and then there's force that's anticipated. Okay? If it's immediate, if it's imminent, if something's going to happen and it's immediately happening, and you don't have any time at all to do anything other than defend yourself or take action, that's imminent. That is somewhat justifiable, depending on what type of force you use and whether it's in proportion. But if it's anticipated force, then you may have a problem with using force, because what the people that are evaluating it are going to think is that you could have done something else. If the force wasn't immediately needed, or if it wasn't imminent, if it was anticipated, then you could have done something else. Why did you use force, first of all, and why did you use deadly physical force if it wasn't immediate? So when I read the witness statements, and then when I read what Karmelo said, I see an incident that was not immediate. The threat was not immediate. The threat was not life-threatening. Because if someone is threatening your life, you're not telling them, hit me, punch me, touch me. You're not telling them that. If this incident is imminent, you don't have time to fish around in your bag to find your knife. You don't have time for that. If you have time to go through these steps, to tell a person to touch you, and then tell the person to hit you, and then fish around in your bag, then you got time to do something else. You have time to look at somebody and say, hey, call the coach. You got time to pull out your phone instead of your knife and say, hey, I need a police over here. 911. This guy is assaulting me, or he's attempting to assault me. You have time to walk away. So it's not imminent. It's anticipated, but it's not imminent. So you have the opportunity to do something else. And that's what the Lord's going to look at. Like, what were your choices here? So this is an ego thing to us. To people who look at this and evaluate things like this, this is your ego. He said something you didn't like, and you were going to show him. You were going to show him, if you touch me, I'm going to show you. See, that's not you're fearing for your life. That is, I'm going to show you. I'm going to prove something to you. Watch, touch me. Watch, see what happens. That's not a person that's in fear for their life. And see, when they ask you what happened, even though they didn't ask Karmelo what happened, he said what he did. And it shows his state of mind. Now, he shouldn't have said anything. Like any lawyer will tell you, don't say anything. Don't give a statement. Don't give up your right to remain silent. But he did, because he's young. He's a kid. He doesn't know. He thinks he's right. So he's saying, he touched me. He put his hands on me. Now, if he would have said, oh, police, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, man, I thought I was going to die, man. This guy grabbed me. I didn't know what was going to happen. Now we know his state of mind. He's afraid. He's fearing for his life. But the statement he's making, it doesn't sound like he's afraid. It doesn't sound like he feared for his life. It sounds like he was going to prove to this guy, touch me and see what happens. I'm going to show you. Because from his point of view, I have the right to do this. Because stand your ground gives me that right. But it doesn't. Now, how does a young person, 17-year-old, get this point of view? A lot of times, it's people talking about this stuff that don't really know what they're talking about. And you have young people that are very encourageable, very open to suggestion, and take things as fact. And they hear somebody that they look up to, that they may respect, say something, and they believe it. So if you're around anybody, young person, old person, or particularly young people, particularly young people, don't talk recklessly about things like this. If you're going to talk about it, explain to a person that under no circumstances do you want to engage in using force against somebody. And if you have to use deadly physical force, then it has to be a life and death situation. I don't know whether his parents, it could have been his father and his uncle sitting around talking about, yeah, you know, if someone touches me, if someone does this to me, well, I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to stab them or shoot them or whatever, and bye. Don't do that. Don't tell these people that, especially these young people. Don't let them believe that. So somewhere along the line, he got influenced by something or somebody, right? And so I'm saying, watch your kids. Watch who's talking to your kids. And when you talk about things like this, because this stuff is in the news all the time, and when you start talking about this stuff, make sure that you're careful about what you say, because your kids are listening. And let me just say this. A lot of this music that these kids are listening to, it's penetrating their psyche. It is altering the way that they see life and death. And so you got to be careful about what you let your kids listen to and what you listen to in front of your kids. I'm not saying raise your kid in some sort of cocoon or some sort of bubble or something, but I'm saying be careful what you put your stamp on, for what you co-sign. Because when you co-sign it, your kid thinks it's okay. If you're banging this music and bobbing your head to it and singing it and playing it in front of them, and you're not explaining this to them, then it's very easy for your kid to take it like you condone all this violence. People look at Zimmerman and Carl Rittenhouse. Oh yeah, look what they did. Look what this and that and the other. Those situations were totally different. Okay, number one, with Zimmerman, which I thought that he would get convicted myself. But the bottom line is that there was no witnesses. And he had injuries. And he's saying that Karmelo had him on the ground banging his head against the concrete. And he used deadly physical force because he thought his life was in danger.
There are reports that his autopsy shows that Trayvon Martin had injuries to his knuckles. Also, according to ABC News, court records show that George Zimmerman had a pair of black eyes, a nose fracture, and 2 cuts to the back of his head after he fatally shot 17-year-old Trayvon Martin.
That's different. Carl Rittenhouse had a mob running after him. They had a guy that tried to hit him in the head with a skateboard. They had another guy that had a gun. And, you know, the people that are making this a racial issue, you're not helping Karmelo. You're not helping him. You're making it worse for him. The victim here is not Karmelo. The victim here is Austin Metcalf. Because young people always have scuffles. Young people have fights, fist fights. You know, when I was coming up, this was a normal thing, especially at a sports activity. You know, you're playing basketball, somebody fouls you too hard, there's a fight. You know, I don't know of any fights at track meets, but I'm sure it happens. You cut me off, you stepped on my heel or whatever. Yeah, it's going to be a fight, but that's all it's supposed to be, is a fight. And it's supposed to last like 2 seconds because everybody else is supposed to break it up. And what we used to do back in the days, are the people that were older than us, if we did fight, they would let us fight, and then after the fight was over, they would make us shake hands. Shake his hand. Oh, I don't know. Shake his hand. What should have happened in this case, if there was a fight, they should have fought man to man or boy to boy, and at the end of the day, shake hands. Or if it's a contentious issue between the two young men, then Austin's dad should have spoke with Karmelo's dad and talked it out. It should not have escalated to this. And it's a tragedy on both sides, especially for the Austin Metcalf family and his brother Hunter, who had to witness this and have his twin brother, pass away in his arms. That's tragic. They are the victims here. Thank you once again for stopping by and checking me out. And until next time, peace and stay safe.